OData service. So we discussed what is OData. OData is Open Data Protocol, right? Developed by OSS, later acquired by Microsoft, and which is used to build the APIs, which is used to simply expose the data of ERP system over the internet. So what are the properties of OData services? Let's see that. Properties of OData service. So now we know what is OData. OData acts as a backend for Fiori application. So OData acts as a backend for the front end, or you can say Fiori applications developed by Fiori developers. And OData services are mainly executed under the SAP NetWeaver, gateway component. With database operation like database operations like let's say select, insert, update, and delete operation. These kind of operations which we usually perform using our OData service on our database. Okay, then what we see is SAP NetWeaver gateway. SAP NetWeaver gateway supports mainly two formats. First one is your XML format. So XML format. Then the second one is JSON format. So JSON format. Okay. Do you know this XML and JSON? XML, any idea?
It's the extended markup language.
Sensible markup language, not extendable.
Yes.
It is used to display the data. So it is a way used to display or let's say transfer the data from one application to another. These two languages are mainly the medium of communication between multiple applications. So here JSON format is also there. JSON is highly preferred. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JavaScript Object Notation. This is the full form of JSON. And what we see is it is lightweight format. So it is a lightweight format. It is a lightweight format and is highly used for combining or for displaying the data over the browser. So this OData service mainly supports only these two formats, XML and JSON. Then what we see in case of OData services, OData are reusable. So OData services are reusable in nature. Okay. And OData services will be developed. OData services will be developed under the SEGW transaction code. So this is the important transaction code which we use for developing our OData service, which is developed under SEGW transaction code, and it is maintained under the is IWFND underscore service underscore maint transaction code. This is a transaction code which is used to maintain the OData service, IWFND service maintenance. I hope it is not incorrect. Let me check. I'll open my SAP system. Let's paste it here. Not this one. IDAV service maint. Okay, I'm doing some mistake. Service maintenance. Oh, it is slash IWFND. Okay, I did a mistake. Slash IWFND slash maint underscore service. Okay, that's perfect. So slash IWFND slash maint underscore service. IWFND slash and IWFND maint underscore service. That is not going there. This user no longer logged on. What is happening here? Okay, let me log out. Then I'll do the relogin. I had maintenance here. Yeah. This is your activate and maintenance service. This is what you usually see whenever you will go slash IWFND main service transaction code. I don't know why it's not working. FND main service. Okay, let's try it again. Slash N. It's working. Yeah. So activate and maintain service. These are all the services which are already there, which we can use for testing and all those features. So if I will see, there should be one service developed by me. I'll go for filter. Let's check. Internal service name ZAR. Okay, let's see. All right, OData Fury service. I'm going to use this one. Let's me show you. Call browser, login, and okay. So this is how we can expose our data to the SAP system, and you can see here this is XML format, and we can change it to JSON format. JSON. Yeah, see at this moment it is empty. That is why we are getting this output. So OData services are really crucial in nature. Now we will see what are the various properties of OData services. Okay, so features or proper features of OData service. Heading features of OData service. OData service. Features of OData service. Now, whenever we will develop any OData service, so let's go to SEGW and build our first OData project. So I'll go to SEGW. This is my OData service gateway builder. Go for create button and create OData project. So I'll create my first OData project. I will pass the description. First OData service. And I will pass here a package. So package and go for OK button. So this is my service here, and you can see for every OData service these 4 folders are always there. So first I will save it. Yeah, pass the request. I have saved it. So 4 folders are always there. So every OData service always have the always have the four folders. Okay, every OData service has always have the four folders. First one is your data model, then you have service implementation, then you have the runtime artifacts, and then you have the service maintenance. So these four folders and features are always there for every OData service. So if you check your first one, data model, you will see that it has got entity type, association, entity sets, lots of things are there. So let's start with data model part. Data model consists of entity type. So entity type is similar to entity type is similar to structure in ABAP. So what is the use of structure? Structure is just a data type, right? Complex data type, which is used to create the internal table and work area. So whenever we are talking about entity type in OData service, it is simply a structure. Using that, we will create the entity and entity sets, right? So same thing is there. It is just a local structure. Then second thing we talk about is entity. So entity is an option, or it is used to hold a single record. It is used to hold a single record, and it is similar to work area in ABAP, which can hold only single record, right? This is what work area is all about. It can hold at max one record at a time. Then the third one is entity set. So set entity set is there. So entity set, see, at this moment there is nothing. Will have to create everything here for our OData project. So entity set, what is entity set? It is like an internal table, in ABAP programming, and it is used to store the maximum or restore more than one records. Okay, it is used to store more than one record. So this is what entity set is all about. Then we have service implementation folder. So service implementation, let's discuss that part. Service implementation, so it contains the CRUD methods. What is CRUD, guys? Any idea?
These are the operations for create, read, update, and delete on the database, or tables in this case.
Create. So this is the only thing that is happening on any application. Create, read, update, and delete. This is the only operation is all about. Same thing, this service implementation folder is responsible for CRUD method. So create, read, update, and delete. Create, read, update, and delete. Then we have runtime artifacts. So it contains the runtime generated classes by SAP. So whenever we will go for generate button, this runtime artifacts, at this moment you can see here there is nothing, but whenever we will go for this generate button, runtime classes will be generated. So it will contain the DPC and MPC extension, MPC classes. DPC is for data provider class, provider class which contains the logic. So logic is written data provider class, and MPC is model provider class. So model provider class, model provider class. Okay, model provider class. This will contain DPC and then we will have MPC. So mostly these two few things are always there in runtime classes. DPC is data provider class where we write the logic part. MPC is for model provider where the definition part is there. For example, declaration of a structure, variable declaration and all those things. And at last we have this service maintenance. This contains the local testing, contains the local testing of OData service, local testing of OData services in SAP. This contains the local testing of OData services in SAP. It also contains the error log. So it contains the error log for error handling. It also contains the error log for error handling. Okay, so these are the most features of our OData service that we see, right? This is the feature of our OData service that we see. Now, if you want to develop a OData service, there are lots of ways. So how we will develop our OData service? How we are going to develop our OData service? Let's discuss that part, and then we will do the testing of it also. So how to develop the OData service. OData service. How to develop the OData service. How to develop the OData service. Now, OData services can be developed in two ways. Can be developed in two ways. First one is using BAPI. Either we are directly going to use the BAPI or let's say RFC, remote function called function module. And the second one is without BAPI. Without BAPI, that is manually we are writing our logic. Manually we are writing our logic. We are writing our logic. Manually we are writing our logic. So OData services, BAPI, either using BAPI or using RFC. Okay. So what I will do is I'm simply going to implement this OData service for my employee table. So this is my employee table. I will use this employee table here. I'm going to use this employee table for developing this OData service, right? And what I will do here is for this particular table, I will implement the operations of OData service. So first I will create the structure. Structure will be created into entity type. Now, so right click on data model, go for import and go for DDIC structure. And here you need to pass your entity type name. So I will pass here, let's say employee. So employee I will pass it, and in the structure I will pass my table name. So copy the table name and paste it here. Now I will allow default entity set creation and I will go for next button. Select the columns that you want. So I will select the column except MANDT. I will select all the columns and I will go for next. Mark the primary key and go for finish. See here, entity type has been imported, and you will see by default this entity set has been created. So entity type and entity set has been created. Now what we will do is we will simply go for generate button and we will generate our runtime artifacts. So go for generate. See here, by default model provider class, data provider class, and for service registration these folders are there. Go for OK. Pass the package and transport request. pass the package and transport request. By default, it will generate the runtime artifacts, right? Runtime artifacts has been generated. You can see it here. Runtime artifacts has been generated, and now if you will open this runtime artifacts, you will find out that lots of classes has been generated by SAP system, and all of them are G classes, Z classes, so they all are custom classes. So here if you focus out, you will find DPC extension, MPC and MPC extension. So DPC is data provider class where logic has been written, so some standard logic is automatically there. And if you want to write custom logic, you will always use this extension class. They are specially designed for writing custom logic by the developer. If you want to create a custom structure or definition, you will go for this MPC extension class because this is for the same purpose, right? And if you will check this service implementation, you will find out that all the CRUD methods are there. Go and check the service implementation folder. So you see here, create, delete, get entity, set, update, and all those things. So it contains only the CRUD method, right? Now for this employee table, I will go for my DPC extension class. So this is my DPC extension class. Here I will go and I will simply write the logic. Here I will go and I will simply write the logic. Okay, so go inside the DPC extension. Now I'll go for methods, inherited methods, and here I will check my DPC extension method. So get entity set, yeah, right click and redefine. So redefine it. Once it has been redefined, now we will write the logic here. So and remove this logic part which is already there, and here we will write our own logic. So this is my get entity set. This is my get entity set method. It will return us the entire records. So select my employee ID, employee name, department, manager, salary, currency from my employee table. Okay, from my employee tab into table. What is my output parameter here? So this is my ET entity set. So just copy it, pass it. This is my output parameter, and I will go for activate. So activate it. Okay, there is some problem. It is telling me the data type of the component manager of ET entity set is not compatible. Okay, so instead of that, into corresponding fields of table. All right, let's check now. Because we are using MA and DT, so this is causing the problem. Let's activate it. Now it is fine. Yeah, it is fine. So here we have implemented the logic, right? Here we have implemented the logic. So if you check, now let's go and test our OData service. So I'll go back, go back, go back, and here I'll go for my service maintenance folder. Go for this maintenance. Either we can do the registration from here, or we can do the registration from this activate and maintain service also. We can also do the registration directly from here. Just go for add service and pass the system alias. So pass the system alias from here, local and external service name. So what is our OData service name? Runtime artifacts. So where is my service? This is my OData service name. Just copy it and paste it here and press enter. See, it is coming. Select it and go for add selected services and click on OK button. So by default here it will be added, or you can directly go for adding directly from your OData section also. Just need to click on this here register and it will be done. Registration will be done directly here. So OK button. Okay. Yeah, see, service was created and its metadata was loaded successfully. So I'll go for OK. Now since the registration is done, I'll go for testing part. So here let's go for gateway client. I'll go back to ACGW again, refresh it. First OData service. Where is my OData service? First OData. Yeah, this one. And this is the same thing we developed it, right? Alan Mukul? Okay,
Yeah.
alright, let me go and check the DPC classes, then it will be more clear. DPC extension, I'll copy it. And I'll go to AC24 and check this class. Display. AC80. Methods redefinition. Yeah, this is the only thing we have just implemented our entity set. Perfect. So I will go for its service maintenance and I will test SAP Gateway Client. So this Gateway Client is the local place where you can test your OData service. Go for execute button. And see here we are getting this green status, so it simply means the registration has been done. Now we will check the data. So I want to check my data, so I will simply go for entity set and I will select my entity set that I have created and go for execute button. So it is again returning me 200. So this is returning me 200, right? Now if I'll go and check, it is returning all the results. See all the results from my employee table one by one. So this is your XML format. Now if you want to see the JSON format, so go for URI option and select the JSON and execute it. So this will become the JSON format. So I will simply copy this link and I will search it from normal browser so that you can understand how this is exposing data from SAP. So normal browser, and here I will go for let's go from this main part. Yeah, filter, service, yes, filter it out. Where is the auditor service? Activate and maintain filter. Okay, I will have to go back and check the service. This is my service name, first OData project service, and paste it here. I find it, I will go for call browser. Yeah, this one. Let's copy Amrit01, my password. I'll copy this link and I will go normally on Chrome. So here I will check. So I just need to change this URL a little bit. I will go for back to my gateway client. This is my gateway client and I will just replace this URI with the so from ASAP. Okay, replace it and press enter. No, not this one. What is going on? HTTP JSON. Yeah, now it is asking. So credential and password. Can you see from where it is bringing the records? Table 101, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11. Just go and check your table. Just go and check your table. How many records do you have in the table? See, is this the same thing? 111 Aniketaman, department is innovation, manager is Amrit Raj. See, 200, currency is INR, right? So this is directly bringing the data from your SAP system. Now, if you want to debug it, that how it is working, just put the debugger. But since you are calling it from external system, we will need a external debugger here. put external debugger, this external debugger. Now just go and refresh it. So just recall it, press enter, and just see in the backend debugger will open. See, we are in debugging mode, right? So this et entity set is the output parameter for this get entity set method. Now once this F6 will execute, you can see this et entity set is getting 9 rows. 9 rows, see, 9 records. It is getting the 9 records, and this is the same 9 records that you are receiving on the output screen also. Is it clear?
Yes.
Right? So similarly, we can implement all these methods. This is just my get entity set. If you want to create a new records, you can go for create entity. If you want to delete one record, you can go for delete entity. If you want to just go for single record, get entity, update entity. Similarly, all these things are, this OData service is provides lots and lots of features. Okay. So whenever you have time, just go through it and try to create an OData service. You will definitely learn lots of things. Okay. Right?
Yes.
So just one question.
Yeah.
So this, you are accessing the link from the local or the browser.
Yeah, from the
which also
browser.
has SAP, which also has the same, SAP client.
No. See what is it is doing. Let me just explain it. So if you want to call it, first thing is SAP system should be installed on your local PC. Okay. So here you can see this link, right? You can see this link. This link is of my local system. Let me just show you. So what is the transaction code? SMICM. Yeah. Go to services. Yeah. This is my 8023 HTTP port. Can you see the host name? Right. So just copy this host name. Here I'll go for HTTP. And paste your host name, right? And after that we need the HTTP protocol. So what is the service port here? 8023, right? And it is running. So I will check this 8023 colon 8023. Press enter. Can you see? If you are getting this SAP logo, it simply means this is able to find out your system. This 404 not found is something else, but this logo will only come if this URL is able to find out a SAP system on your local device. Right?
So am I able to access this anywhere on the internet? Is there a possibility?
If SAP system is on your local PC, a little bit more configuration is required, which basis team usually explains how to do that. For this one, we need to pass the path. Directly in our local system. Then you are able to access it. So you can access it from any system, right? That is not a big deal. But that, see what it is doing is you are searching it, right? And you are searching for this port. So internally it will check whether your device is able to connect with this port or not. So we need to pass a path in your system configuration of this laptop. Then you will be able to access it. So that is why what OData is saying, you can directly test it locally here from SAP Gateway client, right? Just you can need to go to this one, service maintenance, and go for gateway client. You can directly go and check. Or if you are in IWFND maintenance service, you can also call this gateway client from here directly. Or if you want, you can test from the browser also. That's what I'm doing here. I'm getting all the records in form of JSON. If I'll change this to XML, it will show me XML records, same records in XML format.
Okay.
This is the core development part. As a ABAPer, what we will be expected to do is we will create our OData service. We will develop our OData service. We will test it locally here from where it is, gateway client. Yeah, we will test it from gateway client, and then we are simply going to hand it to our Fiori developers. They are going to consume it in the Fiori application. Okay. Is it clear now? Perfect. So very important concept, OData. It is a deep ocean. If you will directly go for separate OData training, it is of more than 40-50 hours. Lots of concepts are there here. Okay. Lots of concepts are there. All right. Now, have you worked on new ABAP syntax or heard about it, or 7.4 or 7.5 syntax? Alan?
No.
No. So SAP is changing, right? Over the period of time, they have brought lots of changes. Lots of changes came into the picture. Earlier R1, then R2, and then R3 came with ECC system, right? ECC system. And in 2015, S4HANA came. So S4HANA was primarily based on two things, right? S4HANA was based on two things mainly, and it was SAP's own database, right? That we will discuss in the upcoming session. SAP's own database and new features of S4 system, new features and new way of handling data was introduced here that was lagging in case of ECC system. So with this, SAP also introduced the new ABAP syntaxes. SAP also introduced the new ABAP syntaxes. Also introduced this new ABAP syntaxes. In 7.4 version, when they came with SAP 7.4, S4HANA 7.4, and then with S4 7.5, they also brought some new changes. Also, what they told us that if our company is working on S4HANA system, if our company is working on S4HANA system, then it does not means that we need to replace all our existing old syntax code with the new one. It is not mandatory for anyone. You can use the old syntax in the future also. Whatever things we have learned, it is a little bit old syntax. So we can use all those codes in the future also. But we might not be able to get the full benefit of S4HANA. Because lots of problems are there in our old codes that we need to change. Slowly we will see that benefit of S4HANA. Okay, so what are the changes were made in case of new ABAP syntaxes? Let's see that part one by one. SAP made lots of enhancements in case of your new ABAP syntaxes. What they did was they made some changes in SQL. So SQL enhancements in new ABAP syntax. Lots of changes they made. So new ABAP syntax. Then we have second one, which is ABAP language enhancement. So ABAP language changes and enhancements that they made in new syntax. Let's see them one by one. Yeah. Okay. So now we can directly pass the literals also. Literals in SQL directly. You remember literals, unnamed data object, right? Then another interesting thing which was introduced was escaping of his host variables. So escaping of host variables, that is using at the rate sign before the variables. We will see that during the implementation time it will be more easy, but this is just introduction of it. So escaping of host variables was also introduced. Then what we see is we can now specify the columns using the comma separated. So we can specify columns separated by comma. This was also introduced with this one, new ABAP syntax. Then we can use the SQL function also. We can use the SQL functions. For example, seal, coalesce, lots of SQL functions we can now use directly in case of our ABAP programming, since these new features were given. Then what you see is we can use the case expression in our SQL statements. We can directly use the case expressions in our SQL statement also. Okay. We can also use, Alan, tell me what are the aggregate function in SQL? We can use aggregate functions also in the SQL now.
Is it group by?
Yeah, not group by. It is sum, max, min. What I'm missing? Sum, max, min, and average. One more is something. Sum, max, mean, average. One is there. I'm missing that. So 5 aggregate functions are there. So we can directly use it in SQL. Okay. Then now we can use more than 20 joins directly. Joins in a single query. That is, you can directly call more than 20 tables data using a single query. So lots of new changes SAP made with this S4HANA 7.4 and 7.5 version. Now if we talk about ABAP language, what are the changes made in ABAP? So we don't need to declare let's say data object. We can directly go for inline data declaration, that is declaring them while storing the data. So inline data declaration, this was a new thing introduced in case of our ABAP language. Then string concatenation, so we can use the string concatenation using the string operator. This was also introduced, operator. Okay. Then we can use the value expression. So value expression for extracting the values out. Okay, we can go for this one also. Now we can use the table operation can use the table operation, which is an alternate for read table. So we can use the table operation directly, which is an alternate for read table. Read table is used to return a single record. So SAP has given a new operation called table operation in case of our new ABAP syntax, which we can directly use. Okay. We can also use corresponding has for moving data from one internal table to another. We can directly go for that using corresponding has. And then we can also use new keyword to create the object, to create the class objects. You remember we used new keywords in object oriented programming that was introduced in 7.4. Earlier we were just creating the reference and then we were using the create object to create the object, but now it's 7.4. This new feature was introduced that we can directly go for a new keyword to create our objects. Okay, so let's see these features one by one. I will simply create a new program and there I am going to simply use all of them. Okay, right. All right. So let's start with this inline data declaration and comma separation and this host variable also. So you remember, let's say if I am going for a normal thing, okay, I'll simply go to SE38 and I'll create my new ABAP syntax program. New ABAP syntax. Type executable. I'll pass the package and transport request. Now you remember, if I have to write the data from Mara table, let's say if I have to get data from Mara table, how we are writing the data? First we were creating the structure, right? So we were going for creation of structure. Let's say types begin of ty underscore Mara, no, by Mara. Then I had to declare this Matner type. It's data element which is Matner. Okay, then I'll go for other columns. So mtart type, it's data element mtart. Then we need to declare the other things, for example mbrsh. So mbrsh type mbrsh, then matcal. So matcal type matcal material group, and one more column I will check. So which column I should take? Let's select this mains. So mains type mains. Okay, and end of ty underscore Mara. This was what I was doing, right? Then we need to declare this internal table data lt Mara type table of ty Mara and ls Mara type ty Mara, right? This is the same thing we are doing. Then we were writing our query. So select Matner mtart mbrsh matcal meins from Mara table. So Mara into table lt Mara. This was what we were doing. Or if we had to filter it out, we were using the select option kind of thing, right? Then we were performing some operation and then we're simply displaying to user, and that can be ALV, that can be normal write statement, any feature. So let's go directly for normal write statement into ls Mara, and I'll go for AND loop. So AND loop. So perform the write statement here. Mara at now ls mara mtart and mbrsh ls mara medical plus mara basic unit of measure, so MEINS. Right? You remember all these things, right? We were doing the same thing for writing the logic. This is my old syntax. Go for execute, it will return the data. Now what SAP is saying, no need to declare this structure, no need to create the objects. But what we can do is instead, we can go for comma separation here, comma separation, comma separation, comma separation. From Mara table into, now we can directly go for inline data declaration. So add data lt Mara. You don't need to go for all these things. This is not needed. This is not needed. Let's say I'm commenting this. Now see here, it will not produce any error. See, no syntax error found. Inline data declaration. Whenever we need, we directly declare the data instead of going for all this. Let's say if I have to use 100 columns, I will create a structure of 100 columns. So why do I need to create a structure? Now I can directly go for inline data declaration. Inline data declaration. Okay. Inline data declaration. You can specify the column separation. And before internal table, we need to go for escaping of host variables. Why do we need to go for that? The simple reason is, for example, let's say I am passing this from Mara table, and here I am declaring one internal table with the same name Mara, right? With the same name Mara. I can definitely declare that. SAP should not have any problem. But now, how will SAP distinguish between this table name and internal table name? So that is why a new concept was added, which is escaping of host variable. That is, before your variable and internal table, always we need to use at the rate. Always we need to use at the rate. See, no error, right? Directly you can pass the table name as internal table also. So LT Mara. Are you able to understand how this new ABAP syntax is going to change our life? Directly write the logic over
Yes.
that. Now this loop, so here see this ls Mara, I have commented it out its declaration. So I will just go for data keyword and I will also declare it at the runtime. No need to declare it before, directly declaring at the runtime. See, activate it. Inline data declaration. Execute. We are getting the results, right? We are getting the result. Okay.
Mhm.
So this one is one thing. If you want, instead of looping, so let's first copy it out. Copy. We can directly go for field symbol also now. So instead of loop, we can directly go for into assigning field symbols directly. So field symbol at the runtime again. Nothing at the, we are directly declaring everything whenever we need it. So let's say I'm naming it fs Mara for my field symbol, and now I will replace all this thing with the fs Mara. So let's copy it, fs Mara. So fs Mara, fs Mara, fs Mara, and fs Mara. Okay, let's activate it. See, no error. Execute, same results, right? Same results. Okay.
Mhm.
With new ABAP syntax, now we can also pass this literals directly into our SQL query also. So for example, let's say I want to pass a literal while writing a logic. So I'll comment out everything and I'll go for the next things. So So let's say I want something else. So select, let's say I want to combine my name. So Amrit, and I want to combine it while writing the logic. So I'll give a space, and then I'll do the combination with Matner as material number. Let's say material number from Mara table. Again into table at the rate data lt underscore Mara. So data lt Mara, right? And I'll go for display. So let's display it using our CL demo output. Display. Okay, let's check. Now what is happening here? Just check. Can you see this Amrit name has been combined with all the material numbers? All the material numbers, right? All the material numbers. But is it has been combined inside directly database and it has been saved into database? No. This is just performing a operation. Code push down is the approach here. So here what we are adding our own text, we are adding our own literals directly using the SQL query. We are pushing it directly into the HANA, right? We are adding our own text. This was one more feature of new ABAP syntax, that we can directly pass the literals in SQL, directly in SQL. Okay.
Yes.
Right. All right. So lots of feature SAP gave which we can directly use with this new ABAP syntax. Okay. Then we can go for this string concatenation also. So for example, let's say if I want to go for string concatenation, if I want to combine multiple string. So earlier how I used to combine multiple string, I was doing this data, right, LV string. Remember this thing, string 1, some value, then Amrit, then I'll go for another one, LV string 2, type string value Raj. But what if I want single quotes inside it? How will I do this combination? How will I do that? That was a difficult stuff. We need to use this 2 extra double quotes if you want a single quotes inside the string. That was also a problem. So what SAP did, it introduced a new operation that you don't need to go for all these things. Just declare your object. So directly data LV string, I'll declare it using inline data declaration, and I will directly pass here using new syntax. So I am Amrit, directly passing here Amrit. See, with single quotes also it is allowed. No problem in that. No problem in that. Let's check for error. No error. Activate it. So we can directly do the combination. So write LV string and activate it and execute it. See, with single quotes also. Single quotes also. If you want to pass directly some value inside it, for example, let's say I'm creating a parameter. I'm creating a parameter of username. Okay, and I will pass that username at the runtime from parameters, and let's pass it in start of selection. And here instead of this one, I want to pass that variable directly, so we can use that thing also. We can use directly here single this curly braces, and using this curly braces we can pass our PAR num directly, or variable here, directly variable here. Whatever variable you will take input from the user, same thing will be stored here. So let's activate and check. I'll pass here ln. See, I am ln. If I'm Mukul, here Mukul will be displayed, right? If I'm Amrit, here Amrit will be displayed. So SAP came with lots new things, that instead of writing 100 lines of code, we can sort our code within 10 and 15 lines, right? Why do we need to waste our time? Why do we need to waste our time? Okay, are you getting my point?
Yes.
Okay. Then value expression is also part of it. So value expression corresponding, or value expression which we can use to move data from one internal table to another one directly. One internal table to another one is there corresponding, and value expression is there for easy storing of data. So for example, let's say, what should I do? Let's say I've created a structure for my employee. So I will create my structure for column employee ID type. It's data element. So employee ID, employee name type, it's data element. So employee name. Okay. And I'll go for end of ty employee. Okay. This one. Now I want to store data. So earlier, if we were manually storing the data, how we used to store data? So we used to create our internal table first. So lt employee type table of ty underscore employee, and then ls employee type ty underscore employee. This was what we were doing, right? And then we were using ls employee employee id is equal to 101, then ls employee name is equal to Amrit, then append ls employee to lt employee, and clear the work area. Clear the work area. Then just go for the next one. This is how we were manually storing the data if we are not writing the direct logic, direct SQL query. This is how we were storing the data, right? Appending one record one by one. You remember that? Now with value expression coming into the picture, within a single line we can pass out everything. We don't need this to declare the data object directly. What we can do, we will directly declare one internal table. So we will declare, one table type we will declare using the types keyword. I will name it, let's say lt data type table of this structure ty employee, and I'll pass one default key. So default key. Now using this lt data we can directly create our output. So data lt employee internal table is equal to value expression, this table type which is lt data, and we will directly store our records. So first record employee id is equal to 101, employee name, not comma, employee name is equal to, let's say, Amrit Raj. Okay, and then similarly we can go for multiple records also. So again comma will not be given, no comma. Okay, next record employee id equal to 102. Employee name is equal to, let's say, Mukul, right? Then we go for another records. So employee ID is equal to 103. Employee name is equal to Alan, right? And end it. Just see here, within single line, let me check for error first. No error. So within single line, how many records we have inserted? 3 records, right? Because of this value expression. Now you can display and check whether we are getting correct results or not. CL demo output, display, and my internal table. So LT employee, right? Check it. Execute. See, 3 records we are getting, right? 3 records we are getting. 3 records we are getting. Are you able to understand what I am telling here?
Yes.
Yes.
Within a single line, we can directly declare multiple, we can directly store multiple data in the internal table. This is your value expression. So value expression. Then one we have corresponding also. So we have corresponding keyword is also there, used to transfer data from one internal table to another. So for example, let's say I'm creating one more internal table, LTEMP, and I want to transfer the data from this internal table, LT employee, to LTEMP. So what I can do is I can directly use corresponding keyword followed by this table type. So this is a table type, LT data. So LT data is my table type here. And in the parenthesis, we will directly pass our internal table name, which stores the initial records, and data will be transferred from this internal table to LTEMP. So let's change it to LTEMP and check. Activate it. Execute. See, we are getting records the same thing from our LTEMP directly. Okay. LTEMP directly. Are you getting my point? What is happening here?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the one thing. This is how you can store data. So this is value expression and this is corresponding keyword. Also, if you have declared the already internal table, if you don't want to go for all these things, so if you directly have your internal table, let's remove this in table type also. Directly, if you have your internal table, that is LT employee, type table of your TY employee. Then what you can do is you can directly use the value has expression. So value has expression, that is your LT employee is equal to value has, and we are simply storing the data now in the same format as it was stored. So see, so for table type, if you are using the table type, we need to use the table type, value table type. But if you directly have your that data object, if you directly have your internal table, then you can directly use the value has expression. And now see, I'll change it to LT employee and activate it. Put it. See, it is still returning the same result, right? Is it clear?
Yes.
So this is new ABAP syntaxes, and you cannot master it within a single day. You will have to practice it again and again 100 times, more than that also. Coding is all about writing logics. Watching videos cannot make us a perfect coder unless and until we are practicing it again and again. Okay? Is it clear? New ABAP syntaxes, basics of OData service. So just go through that and practice it. Okay?